Well, it's been over a month of intensive campaigning, espousing his vision of development for the nation to all and sundry. Now, his quest to achieve the urgent task of breaking the eight has actually seen the highballing of his bold solutions for the future door-to-door tour from the eastern to the western corridors, the northern and the Savannah Belt to the grasslands of the Volta and Oti region, and on to the national capital, Accra. The campaign tour hit Central Region last week and has actually touched down currently in the Ashanti Region, which happens to be the party's stronghold. The flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party and Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has commenced his three-day campaign tour of the Ashanti Region today. Well, as part of his campaign program for today, he actually met with regional party executives this morning. He also paid a courtesy call on the Ashanti Regional House of Chiefs. Now, he also had a walk with NPP supporters at the Ahoncho Park Street in Kumasi. Now, he also engaged with the senior national team, the Black Stars. Don't forget they have a match this evening against Central African Republic at 7 p.m. He's also actually met with the clergy and he's actually met with the imams. Now, the only thing left on his itinerary for today is to actually meet with the professional bodies, organizations in Ashanti Region. Don't forget this encompasses a wide range from the Ghana Medical Association to the midwifery, nursing, the Ghana surveyors, the planners. You know, it's a wide range actually. He's actually going to meet to them. That's the only thing yet to cover. We're actually bringing you footage right about that. But let's take a look at his engagement with the imams earlier today.
The national chairman of the party, Chairman Stephen Nti, our
wannan mazauni muna masa fatan alheri abin da yasa gaba na alheri muna fatan Allah ya sa ya dace. Ina ji yanzu babban abin da yasa gaba shine yana neman shugabancin Ghana. Allah ya sa ya dace. Mun lura mun ga cewa al'amarin musulmai yana gabansa, yana cikin hankalinsa. Babban dalili shine a wannan bigiri da kuke ciki, wannan masallaci shine dalilin da ta sake wannan masallaci. Da yawa da musulmai muke bukata, muna fatan iya samu kuma za mu dace. Allah ya sa ya dace, Allah ya taimake shi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
والصلاة والسلام على أشرف خلق الله وأعز المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا في القاسم مصطفى محمد وعلى آله آل الله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. بمرتبة دكتور محمود باوميا muna maka sanda zuwa
Tuhu fakat nasarahu inda ramsuru fakat nasarahu Liano Tajiyefo and from
Every Chief of Staff, Ministers of State, every members of Parliament, Sarake, Imame, iyaye na
Almighty Naba will say we are on a party soon. The national chairman of the party, Chairman Stephen Nti or Yetemba.
wannan mazauni muna masa fatan alheri abin da yasa gaba na alheri muna fatan Allah ya sa ya dace ina ji yanzu babban abin da yasa gaba shine yana neman shugabancin Ghana Allah ya sa ya dace mun lura mun ga cewa al'amarin musulmai yana gabansa yana cikin hankalinsa babban dalili shine a wannan bigiri da kuke ciki wannan masallaci shi ne dalilin da ta sake wannan masallaci da yawa da musulmai muke bukata muna fatan iya samu kuma za mu dace Allah sa ya dace Allah ke bake shi assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi
والصلاة والسلام على أشرف خلق الله وأعز المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا في القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله آل الله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف بمرتبة دكتور محمود بawumia maka sanda zuwa
fakat nasarahu inda ramsuru fakat nasarahu Liano
Every Chief of Staff, Ministers of State, every members of Parliament, Sarake, Imame, iyaye na maza da mata, jama'a, salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Ko wurin Allah ya basu. Ya sanya mikiyar kai, obiya wadare ha, ewo bibiya o srewe nyame ho, nyame fama. Mijina ha, Emma New Patriotic Party. Mina be presidential candidate, Emma New Patriotic Party, 2023. Now we can say, maybe call a cancer man, maybe presidential candidate. Yes, sir. Anything that they thought the global share mathematics, almost a million, and GCP, who break one, it's not possible. But because Yamisi Asia, Ebisi, Inshallah, never call Yamisi Ebeya, Ebeya. 80 Ena, the call Sakansi. Yenipa Edu 10, they call it, say if you share.
Go!
You're still watching ABC News Ghana. Like I mentioned, he's actually about to address the professional bodies. I mean, at the True Vine Hotel. Now, this encompasses the Ghana Medical Association, the Ghana Bar Association, the Ghana Journalist Association, the University Teachers Association of Ghana, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, the Ghana Institute of Architects, the Ghana Institute of Engineers, the Ghana Institute of Surveyors, the Ghana Association of Society of Medical Physics, Nurses and Midwifery Association, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Ghana, and the Ghana Institute of Planning. Also, we have the Ghana Medical Association. We also have the Ghana Journalist Association as well. So he's actually about to address them. The proceedings are already underway. We're going straight to the auditorium where he's meeting them at the True Vine Hotel.
Honorable Nana Kojo Nsafua Poku, please acknowledge him, please. We also have in our midst the Deputy Campaign Chairman, Honorable Fred Oware, please acknowledge him. We also have Ambassador Edward Boateng here, please acknowledge him. Please, let's proceed to acknowledge the Deputy General Secretary of our party, Dr. Antoinette Chibodako. Please acknowledge her. We have a senior aide to the campaign, also Lawyer Ama Frimpoma. Please acknowledge her. We have Mr. Kweku Apia, who is also ODK. Please acknowledge Kweku Apia Mensah. Please acknowledge him. We also have, for identifiable groups, Alfred Thompson. Please acknowledge him. Then we have Dr. Ansa Asari, who is also Insia Asari. Forgive me, please. Dr. Insia Asari, who's in charge of Agenda 111. Please acknowledge him. We also have we have in our midst the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Honorable Stephen Asamoah Boateng. Another senior member of the campaign, Mr. Opombio. Please, let's acknowledge him, please. We also have in our midst the former General Secretary of our party. He is also a senior aide to the campaign, and His Excellency Honorable Engineer Kwabna Eje Ejapon. We have in our midst the Member of Parliament for Swami, and also the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, the one and only Honorable Chairman Sabonso, please. Honorable Chairman Sabonso, please acknowledge him. Thank you. I also want to proceed to acknowledge the Ashanti Regional Chairman himself, the one and only Chairman Wantume Bernard Njibesiako. Thank you. Permit me, the new patriotic party, the entire party, the chairman of the party himself, Mr. Stephen Intim. Please acknowledge him. We also have in our midst the Minister for Education, Honorable Yao Educhum. Please acknowledge him, please. Then the one and only mother herself, Mami Odende, the Chief of Staff of the Republic of Ghana, Honorable Froma Opare, please. And then turn to the man himself. A very, very humble man, very friendly, firm, solid. The people of Ghana, they call him the digital man. They call him the gold for oil man, the interoperability man, the it is possible man, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. Inshallah, the incoming President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Dr. Alhaji Mahamadou Bawumia. Thank you so very much. We are Bawumia Beba. Bawumia Beba. Beautiful. Thank you. Chairman Bakopa, Ashanti Region. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Good evening. Your Excellency, the Vice President of Republic of Ghana and the flag bearer of the new Patriotic Party and the leader of NPP. We thank God, and I'm very happy to meet the professionals. Any country who want to develop, you need the professionals. You will need the pieces of advices from the professionals. And I can say Ghana is changing. And the Ghana we are having now we can see that we are doing roads. There's a tall buildings in everywhere. But we cannot do it without engineers. You are lucky to be a professional. I remember when I was in Prempeh College. I was there with Senior Mozart. Senior Demes, we call him Senior Mozart. When he was upper 6, I was SS2 in Prempeh College. He's lucky when he finished school, he continued. Now he's a professional. But me, I couldn't. Even now, still my certificate is still in Prempeh College. So all the time, Lawyer William Kusi and co, I keep them close to me so that I also can profit from professionals. So today, I'm very, very happy to meet the professionals, because God is not going to bring a new Ghana from heaven. We have to think together to know how we are going to help our country to develop. Country like Israel is a very small country. They don't have gold, they don't have diamond, they don't have timber, they don't have. But because they have good education and professionals like you, their country has moved and move on. So you are very important. You are very, very important. May I respect the people who have a title like you, holding a title called lawyer or engineers or doctor or anything you are having. I respect it. Or teachers. Without you, we can't help Ghana. So you are very important. That is why when our flag bearer 2024 or 2025 president, when he was coming, he told me that, Chairman, make it possible for me to meet Ashanti professionals. It's not by mistake. It's not by mistake. He valued the love that Ashanti has given to him or showed to him. That is why he also wants to meet you now to give it to you. We love you. We love you. May God bless you all. We love you. May God bless you all. We are winning. We are winning 2024 election. We are breaking the 8th. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will be the first Muslim, will be the first Northerner in the NPP to win or break the 8th. May God bless you. May God bless you all. I love you. I love you. I respect you. Amen.
Shall we do it better for the chairman? The one and only chairman want to be. And as the chairman said, professionals are the nation builders. And that's why when the vice president was coming, he insisted that he meet the professionals. And the chairman also tasked us to put this committee together to deliver for all of you to be here. So we appreciate your presence and thank you all for coming. At this juncture, we want to invite the coordinator of the campaign for the entire Middle Belt, Dr. Nana Ayu Efriye.
Thank you so much. Your Excellency, all protocols observed. Colleagues, friends, all right, so because this is a professional platform. So, basically, Your Excellency is here, and we're going to have very good interaction among ourselves. Just like Chairman Wuntumi said, he was clear in his mind that we cannot complete the program without him meeting professionals. He was so clear in his mind. He has some sort of affection or addiction for professionals. Probably he came from the academia, so you could see that soft spot. He always hammers it so hard for us. We have served him this, and it's to create a platform for us to deepen our relationship. It is for us to ask questions in terms of understanding of where we are. You understand what is inflation. You understand what is bank bonds. We do understand what the difficulty the economy is going through by no fault of ours. You understand what is an act of nature. You understand what is spending to save lives. Lives that does not go into what we call fixed assets. But we in the health economics, we believe in Grossman model. The investment in the human health is definitely going to be an investment in capital based upon what model you are running. But then if you spend to save lives, and you don't have a lot of people dying, and we survive an economy that went through recession, because if your GDP is run below the long run trend for about two continuous points, then you are in recession actually. And God saves us through 2019, 2020, 2021. You need to be frank about this. You need deep-minded people to take us through. And you can all attest to it that The system, the figures are getting better. Those days when the figures were getting down, they said we were cooking the figures. But when inflation went to about 54%, nobody said the figures were cooked. We have people who tell lies with the economy so that the IMF will surcharge us. We don't believe in that. We believe in understanding that we were hit by nature. And you myself will understand that before we were hit by nature, we were doing well. We were doing well. We were doing well. So are we going to part away because of the difficulty we've gone through and the fact that we are weathering the storm? And that is why Your Excellency fits in to be the president at this time. Because he sure with his conviction that going into about the next year with the direction of the economy and he taking over, obviously, knowing where we were and where we dipped and where we are coming up gradually, he has a feel and understanding better than those who think they could have. One way or the other, act of nature hits us. 2008 it did. NPP, whether we are better managers of the economy or not, we get to be the people who external shocks hit us the most. Probably sometimes also near elections. Maybe it's divinity. But the master brain behind the solutions is here. At this point, you need an economist, a professional, who understands where we are and can walk us through the valley of shadow of death, as we fear no evil. And that is why we have to make wise choices. That is why you don't have to give up. Others can give up, but you don't have to give up, because you can read, you can understand the global situation. Ghana is not out of context. Ghana cannot be out of context. So at this point, we've come to have very good discussions at home. And in the Middle Belt, I'm here for you. The regional chairman is in charge of the campaign. I work with him. In any difficulty, you reach out with him, you reach out with me, I'm there with you. And for the boss, he's talking to us every second. Let's build a stronger friendship and foster a closer relationship. And in God I trust. With Bawumia, trusting in the Lord. It is possible. We'll get there. Thank you so much. So, Dennis. All right, so you open up for the questions.
So at this point, since you are dealing with professionals, we want to invite our former General Secretary, Engineer Kwabena Ejeya Japan, to also say a few words. He's also a professional engineer. Shall we give a hand to him?
Your Excellency, permit me to stand on existing protocols. I feel very humbled and proud to be amongst my colleagues, professionals, and really excited about the energy in the room and the fact that these great many minds have stayed in this country and worked hard for this country despite the difficulties that we face as a people. It's quite clear that we can all help Dr. Bawumia usher in a new chapter in Ghana's life. It's all about how we are dedicated to the values as a people, how we can recalibrate our values, our thinking, our determination to work for the collective. Now look at the energy in this room. I feel assured that Ghana is in your safe hands. We need to lead the people, share our passion for our country, our dedication to our flag of Ghana, and of course everybody needs to be compensated properly. But the likes of you who have decided to stay in this country and work hard as professionals, we are the examples to show to the rest of the country that it is possible to be able to change our country. I have very strong confidence in the leadership of a man who has such high personal integrity, humility, vitality, ideas, intellect, and I do believe with him we have a chance to change this country bring about ethical society, ethical work, values of our country. And as patriots of this country, it is those values that are going to animate what we do going forward. So once again, I want to thank your president, the chairman of the professionals in Kumasi, the efficient and effective way he's mobilized you. And I do believe with solid leadership, pure motives, and good intentions from. And I take this opportunity, as I said, to introduce the man who I believe is the right person for this time in our country. A man of action, a man who has ideas, a man who has vitality, the man who has humility. Let's put our hands together for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Governor. I really appreciate it. Madam Chief of Staff, Ministers of State, Members of Parliament, my good friend, Professor Dimensa, our Regional Party Chairman, National Party Chairman, very good senior aides who have accompanied me here, my fellow professionals. I still consider myself a professional. I'm very happy to be with you this evening. I have been going around the country, and this is the 16th region that I am in this first round of campaigning, and I sort of am looking for all the ideas that I can get as I put this manifesto together. And so I insisted that this meeting should be organized so that we have a chance to exchange ideas and I get a sense of the feeling, because wisdom doesn't have one person having it. We have it all over. And I know that as professionals, you eat, sleep, and drink every day about Ghana's problems. That is usually what we go through. We are always thinking about problems, analyzing problems, and proffering solutions to problems across. So I know you have thought through many issues. I want us to have an interaction, so I'm hoping that I don't go too deep in terms of length of time, so that we have some time to have a little bit of interaction, that I can respond to some of your suggestions and your questions. Fundamentally, I have generally been focused since I became vice president on trying to put in place certain foundations, certain pillars for this economy, foundations that were not there since independence. In fact, 14 years ago, I took some time off to be a visiting scholar at Oxford University in the UK. And when I was there, I wrote a book on economic development, basically looking at Ghana and actually Africa and Ghana. And in that book, I was focusing on the things that as a continent and as a country we needed to be doing. And nobody will tell us to do those things. If we didn't do it, we'll continue. So I talked in the last 2 paragraphs of that book about the unwritten rules of the game, basically saying that internationally we are in a competitive game. Let us make no mistake to think that any country is giving us charity, because every country is competing with us, and every country wants to win that game. And so they only give us charity to the extent that we don't come to defeat them in the competitive game. So when you are in this game internationally, or the game of international development, if you decide to enter the field and don't have a goalkeeper, your opponents will not tell you that you don't have a goalkeeper. They'll keep scoring the goals. And you have to make up your mind that you need a goalkeeper. And these, for me, I said, were some of the unwritten rules of the game. This was before I became vice president. Of course, this was 14 years ago that I published this particular book. And so I was raising the basic issue that the world is moving into the fourth industrial revolution. We are moving into the digital age, the world of STEM, the world of robotics, the world of AI. It is inevitable that this is the direction that we are going into. And so countries such as Ghana need to get ready. Nobody, at that time I was writing, I said, nobody is going to come and tell you to have a national ID card. We've not had for 60 years, and nobody was going to come and tell us. We had to make that decision to have a national ID card. Nobody would tell us that we should have an address system. But you know that no country can function in the modern world without an address system. You go to the US, go to the UK, any system, that country will collapse, will stop immediately, because everything revolves around address systems in the economy. And so if you don't have addresses, those economies cannot function. And so I came to government with the mindset, and this is what I set out in the book at that time, that we can do virtually what every advanced country has done. It is possible for us to even do better. And so I want to move, because for the longest time we stay with problems and problems and problems, and we don't solve the problems. We go around the problems, but we don't really solve the problems. And so my view was that we can be like a South Korea, we can be like a Singapore, we can be like a UAE, Dubai, we can be like Estonia, all these advanced countries that have made it recently. Ghana can also be like that, and it is possible for us to do so. And so in that context, I think that fundamentally there are things that need to be in place. How do we become like a South Korea and all of that? If you look at South Korea, and you look back at their history, you see that even BC, 4th century BC, they were mortgaging homes to educate children. This is BC. South Korea, they took education that seriously, that people were mortgaging their homes to educate their children. If you want to look at countries that have done well, the data is clear, the evidence is clear. Gross tertiary enrollment ratio has been a key definer of countries that have done well globally. Their gross tertiary enrollment ratio is very high. You look at South Korea today, their gross tertiary education enrollment ratio is about 94%. Educum, is that not correct? If you said it's not correct, I will sack you. I'm just joking. But the bottom line is that they have a gross tertiary enrollment ratio of about 94%. That is high, right? From people moving from senior high school into tertiary institutions. That's very, very high. Now in Ghana, even though we've made some progress recently, we are only around 14%. 20, yeah? So we moved from 14 to 20. Okay. So just look at the gap. 94% versus 20%. This is your competition. So you see that we still have a long way to go. And so when we came into office, it was very clear that the education side, we needed to focus on it. That if we are going to compete globally, the education was important. When we came into office, the president asked me, one of the first questions he asked me, says, Mamadou, can we do free senior high school this year? That is 2017. And I said, yes, Mr. President, we can do it. It is possible for us to do free senior high school this year. And so we quickly arranged the budget to make sure we could do free senior high school education. And I'm glad that we started it in the very first year. There were arguments about whether we should wait and all of that. But we started it. Started with enrollment at the end of 2016 of 800,000 senior high school students. By the end of 2023, after 7 years of free SHS, we had moved from 800,000 to 1.4 million students in the senior high school. So after 60 years, we were at 800,000, and in just 7 years, we added 600,000, a 75% increase. That tells you that there was a problem, really. There was a problem. So many were not able to go to senior high school because of the problems of funding. And we were able to get a lot more people into senior high school, a 75% increase. But also, qualitatively, we now have more girls enrolling in senior high school than boys, which is very, very important. At the end of 2016, for every 100 boys, we had 68 girls. At the end of 2023, for every 100 boys, we have 106 girls. So today, in the middle classes are finding it very difficult in finding mates in their homes. That is really an issue for the middle, because the parents of the girls have come and taken them to school. And so there is a problem in there. But not only that, the performance of the students has gone up. Core 6 WACSI subjects pass rate in 2016, pass rate was 41%. The core 6. 2023 pass rate is 64%. So you've seen a major improvement, and our worry that the more you open the space, the lower the performance. That has always been the concern. The quality will drop. But we seem to have defied that gravity, and rather performance has gone up. We've followed it up recently, thanks to Educum, that we have provided tablets to all senior high school students. We are distributing them. I know very soon I'll get to Opokuwari Wednesday and distribute the tablets to the students over there. And we are the first country in the continent that I know of that is distributing tablets with all the textbooks and everything on these things. So it's very, very good for us in Ghana. I think we've also started STEM, building STEM schools. We've also started TVET. We've invested more in TVET than any other government. Over spending some 6 billion Ghana cedis over the last 7 years in TVET education. And we've made TVET also free. So we are building skills, building on STEM, and building on senior high school education. And that is what we are doing. The other thing that I thought was very, very important was to make sure that if you are going to enter the digital age, the fundamental instrument for participation is digital identity. For every country, this is where you have to go. No country, you can't avoid it. every country must have digital ID to be able to participate across the globe in the digital economy. You see that in Europe, the EU has issued a directive that all EU countries by 2030 should issue digital ID cards to their citizens. The US is only starting to discuss in the Congress about issuing digital ID cards to their citizens. But in Ghana, we have issued already 18 million digital ID cards, the Ghana card, to our citizens. That is 85% of all adults. And we are following that up by issuing digital ID numbers to the children when they are now born in our hospitals. And not only are we doing digital ID, we are adding the birth certificate. Because what we've done is we've integrated the National ID database with the Ghana Health Service database with the Births and Deaths Registry database. So we're trying to kill two birds with one stone. A lot of problems and data integrity with the births and deaths. That's why we've digitalized it. A lot of problems, of course, which is new with getting the children Ghana card IDs. Abroad, of course, when they give birth to the child, they give them an ID number from birth. So we decided to kill two birds with one stone with that integration. So today, if they give birth to a child and you take that child to the weigh-in, at the weigh-in, they will send the details to the NIA and also to the Births and Deaths Registry, and you will have returned the child's Ghana card ID number and the birth certificate number at the same time. At the same time. And so we are the for me, I don't know of any country in the world that is able to do this. And we are definitely the first in Africa. I don't know about the rest of the world. I don't know of any country that does this simultaneous provision of both the birth certificate ID and the national ID digitally at the same time. We have also used the Ghana card to eliminate ghost workers on our payroll. It was very, very important when we had this problem. We decided that we will link every government worker with the national ID cards, because the national ID has fingerprints and ghosts don't have fingerprints. And so once we decided to do so and linked every worker with their Ghana card, all the ghosts ran away. They ran away. In the National Service Secretariat, there were 44,000 ghost workers. 44,000. They all ran away. In SNIT, there were 29,000 ghost pensioners. They ran away. SNIT, we saved some 300 and something million Ghana cedis. National Service, 420 million Ghana cedis. Two institutions alone. And we've now cleaned up the whole of the Controller and Accountant General payroll, and there's no ghost worker on that payroll. We have also made the Ghana card ICAO compliant, one of the few identity cards in the world that is gone through all the stages of approval in the International Civil Aviation Organization database. We took it to Canada. They went through a whole process and then approved the Ghana card, which therefore is recognized across 44,000 airports and border entries across the world. And so if you go abroad and your passport gets missing, when you are abroad, you can take the Ghana card and catch a flight and come back to Ghana. It will be accepted. It will be accepted. Before the end of this year, we are working very hard at it. We will have operational at our airports e-gates for the arrival. So when you arrive, and you are a Ghanaian with your Ghana card, you can go to the e-gate. You don't have to go to the immigration officer. Put in your Ghana card, it will open for you, and you end up at the luggage side. So we are working very hard. I said we needed an address system. We put in a digital address system. So now you can find anywhere in Ghana. Every location has a digital address system. We're the second country in the whole world to implement a national scale address system. We also have had mobile money interoperability to provide access financially to everybody. And by doing so, we are the first country in Africa to implement mobile money interoperability. You can move money from a Momo account to a bank account and vice versa, and across the telcos networks. And because of that, we've really become the #1 country in Africa in terms of financial inclusion. The Momo account is now working just like a bank account. And many people, in fact, use just their Momo accounts. They don't even bother with bank accounts much these days. And we are therefore moving very quickly. We've implemented drones to deliver medical supplies, and Ghana is the world's largest medical drone delivery service. The whole world, Ghana is in the lead in medical drone delivery service. We are the #1 in the world, and we are networking all our hospitals and digitalizing the patient's data. We have completed, through the Lightwave eHealth project, we have completed the digitalization of records of all the teaching hospitals, all the regional hospitals, all the district hospitals. And we'll continue, and next year we expect to finish every hospital and CHIPS compound in the country. But we therefore, if you go to any district hospital, you just need to give your ID number and you get all your medical data. If they transfer you from Manswe Dubia to Comfort Nochi, you don't need to bring your folder. You bring your ID, they'll put it in there, and you have from Wa to Kolebu. You don't need to take your folder. Take your ID, you put it in there. When you get to Kolebu, they'll see all your medical records and all of that. So we're moving in this area. You can renew your national health insurance on your mobile phone. You can also buy electricity on your mobile phone. And so we are really becoming part of this digital world and all of that. So those are some of the pillars that we are putting in place to transform this country and make life much easier for our people. Of course, we've brought in ideas on one constituency, one ambulance, Agenda 111, Zongo Development Fund, Gold for Oil policy. All of these, free dialysis for people sufferers under 18 and over 60, and so on. So we've done quite a bit. In my position as Vice President, we've been able to do quite a bit, and I've been able to support the President to do quite a bit. Of course, it doesn't mean we've done everything. There's a whole lot that we have yet to do, and there are still many challenging issues in the country that we have to face. But comparing us to the former government, really, there's like night and day. We can, without any fear of contradiction, tell you we have outperformed them many, many times. But they are not the standard for us. We have a higher standard. I'm looking at what is happening in the advanced world, and I want to catch up with those in the advanced world, not with the NDC. The NDC is not the standard. We want to catch up with the advanced world. We have done better than them, and will continue to do better than them. But I want us to reach a different level. The vision I have for Ghana is a vision where we really transform agriculture, that we really invest in agriculture and make sure we have large-scale, commercial, technology-driven agriculture, mechanized agriculture. I also believe that we should move our electricity generation from a dependence on oil and gas to a dependence on solar power and other renewables. That is where we should go. And so I want, over the next 4 years, for us to bring in a solar generation capacity of 2,000 megawatts to add to our generation mix, to add to Akosombo. 2,000 megawatts is more than half our consumption. So if we add that to Akosombo, we believe we can reduce the cost of electricity by at least 50%. And that is where I am heading out, because the cost of solar is is going to be around 7 cents per kilowatt hour, and I believe that will be very helpful. And if you add that to the Akosombo, we will change the system. But I want us not just to import solar panels to build this 2,000 megawatt capacity. It's going to be really huge. We want to set up the factories here to manufacture the solar panels that we are going to use and then export them. I believe also that I want our government, by the grace of God, to move a lot away from the social interventions and move towards business, to the private sector, and try to empower the private sector. I believe that government should create room by reducing expenditure and giving that to the private sector to do. The private sector, of course, has a profit motive. That if you give them those incentives, and this is what happens in most of the advanced countries, that the private sector is responsible, whether it's for roads, whether it's for construction of other things, you give the private sector the incentive. And I want government to move away from the mentality that they have to do everything. If there's anything to go by, you can see that the whole digitalization program fundamentally is being a private sector driven program. This is why it has been so successful, because with the private sector, they only make money when the system works. If it doesn't work, they don't make money. For the government sector, they make money when the system doesn't work. So the incentives are a bit upside down. And so I want the private sector to do a lot more. Let us reduce government expenditure by 3 to 5% of GDP over the next 4 years and allow the private sector to do it. If I want to build prisons, I can allow the private sector to say, I will rent these prisons from you, build them. For the next 20 years, I'll rent it from you. Do you see how quickly they will build expanded prisons in Ghana? If I want to buy buses for schools, I don't have to look for money to buy 700 buses or 800 buses. I can just say to the private sector, supply 700 buses to the schools and I will pay you every month something. I don't have to look for a whole lot of money. So the burden on the budget will come down. And we will have more jobs created, projects will be completed, even dining halls and other infrastructure. The private sector can provide them. You go to Tech, you go to Legon, the hostels are private sector provided. They are not public sector built. And if it was a government building those, I bet you some of the hostels will still be uncompleted. They will still be uncompleted. But once it's the private sector, they know they are going to get money. Once the government gives an off-taker agreement, banks will be prepared to finance them. And so I want us to shift some significant spending away from government and create space and allow us to complete a lot of projects. I want to also change the tax system in Ghana. I want Ghana to move away from the current tax system to a flat tax system. A flat tax system is easy, and it's easy to comply with, it's easy to enforce, and it's easy to calculate for all of us. I had a team that looked at this very carefully. We saw that the most tax competitive country in the world for the last 10 years in a row was Estonia. And so we went to Estonia, took a team to Estonia, looked at it. They have a flat tax system, and this has worked very well, and I think it will work very well for Ghana. Very much like the way the churches are charging tithes, right? And this is very simple. If it's 10%, it's 10%. Everybody knows. Right now, businesses and GRA are locked in battle. They'll bring tax assessments that they don't understand, and then there is a problem. So I want us to move, by the grace of God, next year to a flat tax system, and to enforce that flat tax system in terms of the beginning of it. I want us all to start from a clean slate. And therefore, next year, I'm going to offer, by the grace of God, a tax amnesty to all businesses and all individuals, and we will all start from ground zero. We'll all start from ground zero. We'll start with a tax amnesty. And then I also want to realign Ghana's import duty system. The import duty system is a problematic one. There is no predictability in the import duty system. And that feeds into lack of predictability in prices on the market. Because we are a highly import-dependent economy, no matter how we cut it for now. And we need to increase domestic productive capacity. But there is no predictability. And so you may order something and think you are paying 10,000 cedis import duty. The thing arrives and you have a bill of 20,000. You are not able to pay. They confiscate your goods and they'll sell them off for 2,000. And then you have nothing left. Now, if you are able to pay, you go to the market and increase your prices. So there's an inflationary push in there. So what I want to do is to have predictable flat rates of import duty in cities. Flat rates of import duty in cities. In cities. So that we start respecting our city right from the port. So if you are a spare parts dealer from magazine and you are bringing in spare parts, then there will be a flat duty for the 40-footer container, for the 20-footer container. So we can say, for example, if it's a 40-footer container, it's 20,000 cedis. So whenever the container arrives, it is 20,000 cedis in cities. If it's 20-footer, you know what it is. It's very simple. So it's predictable. Now, if it's rice, the same thing. You have chicken, whatever it is. You have flat duty rates. So we bring in predictability in the duty. Then you move on to the second reform in the import duty regime. If you look at it, Togo has lower duty than Ghana, isn't it? So you see a lot of people rather want to bring containers through Togo and smuggle the goods into Ghana because they don't want to pay the higher import duty. So since Togo is our main competitor and they are just next door, right next door, I want a new policy. That new policy should say that Ghana's import duty cannot be higher than Togo's import duty. Then we cap Ghana's import duty to our competitor. Then the smuggling will stop. And there will be no incentive to send the goods through Togo, and we'll bring them through Ghana. The next major reform I want to bring into Ghana is to transform Ghana from a cash-based economy to a credit system. You see, in the advanced countries, almost everything you can get on credit. In Ghana, everything has to be cash. You want to build a house, you have to look for cash. Buy a car, look for cash. Buy TV, look for cash. So the burden on the worker in Ghana is very high. If they pay somebody $1,000 in the US, they can consume goods up to $10,000, and they will be paying little by little. In Ghana, if they pay you 1,000 cedis, it wouldn't even reach half the month, and your 1,000 cedis is finished. You have no way to extend your consumption possibilities. It becomes a problem. The reason why they are able to do so in the advanced countries is that everybody has an individual credit score. So that underpins the credit system. You cannot have a credit system without an individual credit scoring system. And so this is what, if I wrote about this in my book 14 years ago, that this is where we need to go. But we didn't have the data to be able to do individual credit scoring. You need the databases to link them. But thankfully, because of the digitalization program and the linkage of the Ghana card to your bank account, to your SIM card, that your Momo account, to DVLA, to your GRA, to your SNIT, and all of that, NHIS, you've now got a database, integrated database that you can now use for credit scoring in Ghana. And we have got the company that is licensed to do credit scoring in Ghana. The Bank of Ghana has given them a license. And in the next couple of months, Ghana, your own Ghana, by the grace of God, is going to begin individualized credit scoring. That will change Ghana. That should change Ghana, because right now we are also assumed by the banks to be bad borrowers. So they are giving us very high interest rates and everything. But if they can distinguish everybody, once you have a Ghana card, you have a credit score, because you can generate the credit scoring, and Ghana will start it. In sub-Saharan Africa, it's only South Africa that does individual credit scoring. Ghana will be the second in sub-Saharan Africa to do that. Once we do that, we will start to move the economy fully from a cash base to a credit system base and all of that. Another area I want to get done is digitalization of land registration and title transfer. That is a major source of problems in Ghana. But without proper titling and confidence in that, you cannot have a mortgage market develop in Ghana. And therefore, I'm going to focus a lot on the land digitalization program, so that on your mobile phone, if you have the coordinates of any piece of land, you can tell who owns that land, so that you cannot have double sale of that land. So we are going to move towards digitalization of the land registration process. We're going to focus and make sure that we deal with Galamsey, for me, in a way that is smart. You've got to make sure that you can regulate the small-scale miners. You have to regulate them to move them away, and therefore empower the Geological Survey Department so that we can find areas where they are proven reserves and demarcate community mining scheme and concessions for small-scale miners, and give them those concessions and regulate them in terms of the type of processes that they use to mining, so that mercury and all of that, and push them away from the water bodies, give them machinery and so on, common user facilities, so that they can get a lot more gold from the tailings that they have. Ghana has a lot of gold. The Geological Survey Department estimates that in the unexplored gold, we have about 5 billion ounces. That's almost 10 trillion US dollars. That is unexplored. Even if it's 5% of that we get, it's huge. So let us focus on that, and let us, empower and regulate the small-scale mining schemes, and then also be able to increase our gold reserves and back our currency ultimately with gold. I believe also that Ghana, so far, we've not been able to do what we need to do in railways. Rail transportation is very important. Without rail, the benefit from a lot of our bauxite, iron ore, and so on will not be realized. And we need to encourage the private sector with sufficient incentives to help us to deal with the rail problem that we have. The job side is very key. We have to have new growth poles in tourism, in sports, in creative arts, pharmaceuticals, the digital space. We can really train at least 1 million youth in digital skills, coding, software engineering. They don't really need to have certificates. Even school dropouts can be trained. And we need to also support the small and medium scale enterprises, and government is going to be doing that. In conclusion, let me just say that I am contesting to be president of this country. And I believe that there are a number of reasons why you should support me. The first one is that as vice president, most people say that I have been the most impactful vice president in the history of Ghana. That is the general consensus. And if that is the consensus, that means that as for the vice president class, I have passed my exam there. So once I have passed you have to promote me to the next level and make me president. And so I believe that you give me that promotion. The second thing is that I have a commitment to fighting corruption, and all the things that I have done in the digital space, the systems that I am putting in place, they are systems that will fight corruption, and I intend to fully do that. I have also presented a compelling vision for what I want to do as a president. I believe that if you give me the opportunity, I will start from day one. I know exactly where I want to go and what I want to do for this country. I'm not going to go on a honeymoon. I'm going to move from day one and start working for you. But I also believe that if you make me a president, I'll be more accountable to you, because I'll be looking for an 8-year term. An 8-year term means that you are first going to give me a 4-year term. It means I have to work very hard to justify your giving me another 4 years. And so I'll be more accountable. I'll come back to you and say, this is what I have been able to do. And then you can renew my license and I'll drive the vehicle and go forward. So I believe that my main opponent only is looking for a 4-year term. That means immediately you give it to him and he goes on his honeymoon and comes back, you won't see him again. There will be no accountability. For me, you will get accountability. And so you should give me to somebody who has that frame of mind. The other reason why I say you should look out to voting for me is that the world is moving into a digital age. And I believe that as president, I am the best person positioned to take Ghana into this digital age. And I want you to support me to get there. Thank you all very much for listening. God bless you.
You can. Yeah. Check. Please, you can do better.
Well, that was a flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, Dr. Bawumia, and he just finished addressing the professional bodies, organizations that were gathered at the True Vine Hotel. He shared with them his vision for the development. Let's go over some of the key points that he mentioned. Well, he started by making them aware that he's looking for all the ideas he can get as he's actually putting together his manifesto. He also mentioned that the international development is a competitive game and it's something they have to win, then they have to put in the effort. So that's why he actually is engaging them. And these are people who know the day-to-day bustle and hustle of the country. They are the professionals of the country. They're the entrepreneurs. They are the ones who are actually going through the thing. So they know what it means to actually be running a business in the country. Now, some of the key things he mentioned about the digital address system. He also spoke about the free SHs, how they actually move the people from 800,000 to 1.4 million students within a span of 7 years. Now, he also spoke about the fact that there was more girls to boys. When you look at the ratio, now you had, for every 100 boys, you have 106 girls, which was not initially the case. He also mentioned the fact that they spent 6 billion on TVET and actually have eventually made it free. He also spoke about the digital identification system, which is like the Ghana card, and how this actually is being prepared for newborns. So actually when you go for weighing or you're at the hospital, you can actually get a Ghana card for the baby and also get a birth certificate at the same time. And also about 80% of adults in the country have been been registered on the Ghana card. Now, he also mentioned that the Ghana card is recognized across 44 borders, and he said he wants to actually set up an e-gate at the Kotka International Airport. So when you come and you have your Ghana card, you just go through the e-gate. You don't have to actually go through immigration and all the stress and, you know, the long queues and stuff. So you can actually just use the e-gate once you have your Ghana card. He also spoke about the drone delivery system, and then he mentioned the digitalization of records in health facilities. Basically, I mean, putting all records and digitalizing them across the health facilities in the nation, so that if you probably let's say registered with let's just say Tema Hospital, and probably you move to Adentan or somewhere, when you go there, you can just go straight and you don't need to go and carry your folder from Tema, but you just go, you have your card, and then the minute you mention your name, they can just enter it in and be able to get your health records from the Tema Hospital. So that's what he's looking at doing when he said the digitalization of records in the health facilities. He also mentioned the e-pharmacy that they're creating, making it easy for you to be able to seek the medications that you need or that have been prescribed for you without having to move from one pharmacy to the other. Waste lorry fare, stress yourself, or that you just use the e-pharmacy and you'll be able to get the medicines that have been prescribed to you. Now, mentioned the fact that he wanted to invest in agriculture on a large scale and mechanize it, because he believes this is a key point of development for the nation. So it's something that he is really looking at. He says he wants the country to move from oil and gas to solar production. Basically, he wants us to produce 2,000 megawatts solar power, and this is something he believes is going to actually help support the Akosombo, the hydropower we currently have, and that's actually going to make up for more than 50% of what Akosombo is actually given. So that's something he's also looking at, and he doesn't want us to actually import the solar panels. He wants us to set up factories and then we will manufacture the solar panels here. So basically he's trying to create jobs as well, and from then we can also export some of the solar panels that would actually manufacture here. Now, he also mentioned the fact that government should actually create room. His government should create room by reducing expenditure and then by giving the infrastructural development to the private sector. So basically, government needs to step down from, you know, we're going to build everything to set up everything. We have to be responsible for setting up everything. For him, that is what is, you know, accountable for all the many uncompleted projects that have been left, or the ones that have actually not been fully done, because the expenditure, the financial burden on government is just too much. So for him, if he comes and he's given the power, what he wants to do is that he's going to give that infrastructural development over to the private community. Now, because they are going to do it for the money, they will actually do a better job, and when they do that, the government just leases it from them, so that way the financial burden on government is reduced. That is something that he's really looking at, and that is also going to bring down government expenditure in about 3 to 5% of the GDP. He also mentioned the flat tax system and the fact that he's going to grant a tax amnesty from 2025, and then everybody starts anew on a clean slate. So it's just going to be a flat tax system. So if it's 10%, 10%, if it's 5%, 5%, if it's 20%, 20% for everybody. And he also spoke about the flat import duty rate. Don't forget, this for him is key because he wants to actually curb the smuggling that comes in through Togo. He wants to ensure that our import duty is either at par or below that of Togo. There's no way he wants import duty at the Tema port to actually go beyond that of Togo, because he feels that that is actually giving people reason to smuggle goods through the Lomé border. So that's something that he's literally working on. Well, as you can see on your screen, people were excited to walk with him. Earlier today, he had a walk with the people at the Ahonjo Street in Kumasi. Now, he also mentioned moving Ghana from a cash-based economy to a credit-based economy. This for him is about setting up the individualized credit scoring system, which he feels will make things easier for people here. So if probably you're earning 1,000 cedis a month, you should be able to at least get things on credit. You know, if your record, if the government gives you the opportunity, you're able to know whether you're a good borrower or a bad borrower, instead of putting everybody in the same bracket. But at least you can be able to purchase things that go or exceed your salary, which is something that he believes the advanced countries are doing. And if we are able to implement, which he wants to start in a couple of months, he made mention that a company has received approval from the Bank of Ghana to actually start with the individualized credit score system. So we're going to to see work on that in a couple of months. And if it starts, we're going to be the second country in sub-Saharan Africa after South Africa to implement this. He also mentioned the digitalization of land registration and titling. I mean, we've heard the stories about land guards here. Today this person is dead, tomorrow that person is dead. There's always fights and issues in courts. So for him, if it's registered, if it's digitalized, documented, it's easy. And you don't always need to be there to be able to purchase a piece of land. You can actually do it digitally, which makes things easier. And everybody can actually see that this land belongs to so and so person. He also mentioned the formalization of small-scale mining sector. Basically, he wants to regulate the activities and the operations. For him, he believes that we can make billionaires and millionaires out of the small-scale mining sector. But first, they need to be regulated so that they're operating under the right guidelines and then adhering to all the necessary protocols, using the right equipment and tools so that they do not actually destroy the ecosystem which we have in the country. He also made mention of backing our currency with gold, and he spoke on how much we have so much gold in the country, and if we actually start doing the exploration ourselves, it's going to help us. So, I mean, he wants to back the currency with gold. And finally, he looked at supporting small and medium scale enterprises. So, I mean, these are some of the key points that he's made mention of. These are some of the key things he's been pushing. And it's not just today. I mean, since he started on 29th April, he's been sharing this vision on and on and on and on and on. For every region he steps into, for every group of people he meets, he lets them know this is what he has in mind, this is what he's done. It's more like I'm giving you my report card and then I'm telling you what I want to do, or what I feel if you give me the power, I will be able to do. Well, this brings us to the end of today's coverage. This is not the end of it. Don't forget, it's a 3-day campaign tour of the Ashanti region, and that happens to be the major stronghold of the ruling New Patriotic Party. You've been watching ABC News Ghana, and we've been bringing you the full coverage of it. Tomorrow, join us same time in the morning, and we'll bring you all the details and things you need concerning this campaign tour. Do have a wonderful evening. My name is Epifania Chukoto Kiligui.